Hey there, After Buzzers. Welcome back to the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina After Show. A new Sabrina Spellman is on the rise. What a miraculous new set of powers she has. Ambrose is on death's road, and Auntie Z, what in heaven's name is wrong with her? We have a lot to talk about, so don't you go anywhere.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What is up, all you witches out there? Thank you again so much for tuning into the Chilling Adventures. That gets me every time. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina After Show. We are so excited to be back breaking down episode 7, The Miracles of Sabrina Spellman. And boy, I thought things were getting crazy, but this episode, things are really starting to heat up. But of course, I'm not here talking about it by myself. I have my lovely co-hosts with me who are going to break down all the delicious, juicy details this episode has to bring. To my left, we have Miss Elena.
Hello, I'm Elena Jordan.
And I am Brendan Haley.
And I'm Veronica Valencia. Coming up later in the show, we're obviously going to be talking all about Sabrina, her new powers, Auntie Z, and what the heck kind of spell Father Blackwood put on her, Ambrose, and how the poor guy can never seem to catch a break, Aunt Hilda and Sabrina at odds over what to do about Sabrina's father's teachings, and Harvey and the mines comes back into play. So much to discuss. We also have some great tidbits from Elena with the dark design, giving us behind the scenes and taking a deeper look at what's going on in this show, and then some nice Wiccan knowledge from Brendan. But before we get into any of that, guys, I kind of already said this episode was juicy, but let me know what you thought, yay or nay.
I mean, the fruit is juicy and plentiful in the garden, and we had all of it today. We had every single little bit of nugget, tidbit. Everything is paying off now. We have Sabrina, a possible messiah. What's going on with that? I was kind of...
Sabrina the Antichrist.
Yeah. Is this something that you guys have been expecting? Because I certainly haven't been.
No, not at all. We were talking a little bit about how we were getting kind of American Horror Story vibes, and this kind of felt like American Horror Story Apocalypse, but only in that it was an attractive Antichrist and a very attractive,
they're
handsome devil.
Oh, yeah. Why is it that Why is it that every single satanic figure has to be sexy? We can't hate you.
Because they want us to feel that way. They're like, no
that's
reason
why
to
Lilith
be sketchy
sold her
evil.
soul, man.
Yeah, she saw those abs and was just like, woof.
There
or
you go.
hoof.
Oh!
Back at it again with the sick puns, Elena. So, yeah, I really loved this episode, and it's funny because in media there are villains you love to hate. When it comes to Father Blackwood, I just kind of hate to hate him.
Me too.
I'm sorry. He's a great villain because I can't find any redeeming qualities in the guy. I can't get behind him on anything. He is just so frustrating that I kind of can't wait for the episode where his plans just burst into flames and he gets everything he deserves, because it's frustrating just kind of how up till now he's kind of gotten away with everything.
Well, what bothers me the most about that topic is that on top of him being horrible and frustrating and misogynistic and difficult to work with, everyone around him lets him slide. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's a kind of spell. Oh my God, everything is bad. There are spirits here.
We are haunted in here. Someone put a witchy spell on this after show.
I did a Ouija board last night, and they told me we're all gonna die.
I wore a Ouija board last episode.
You did? Oh my God.
And it told me this look is killer.
that was gross.
I'm very sorry. I apologize for
Good.
that one.
Good.
But I don't apologize for hating Father Blackwood because he sucks. He's the worst.
He is.
I mean, I keep waiting for some redeeming quality, and I just feel like he's just a big old turd.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's like this physical manifestation, this representation and metaphor for toxic masculinity in general, and how, there are just situations that are unfair where he's not being checked like he should be, and kind of, a mirror for government that is left unchecked. And I love that it has these really deep, meaningful parallels, but Man, it doesn't make it any less frustrating to be like, you leave Sabrina alone.
Also, maybe this is just me, but I am so worried every time he's on camera. How much dirt is he getting under those fingernails?
They're disgusting.
They're gross.
I feel like he's
thing.
constantly cleaning them because, like, what else is he doing? He's
But
just
like with a
plotting
toothbrush,
and
just
sitting.
like.
No, like with a nail file that's probably made of like the bones of some slave demon that he's like, I use these to pick my nails.
I got these at Kmart.
They are the best stick-ons I've ever gotten in my entire life. So but let's dive real quick into Sabrina. Because obviously, in the episode before this, we saw she has risen, ascended, had some kind of awakening, and then in this episode, she goes back to being shot to death with arrows. Well, not to death, but she has arrows, and everyone thinks that she is dying, and she miraculously comes back to life.
See, this I was confused by because we've seen it happen before with Hilda and like the Pet Cemetery similarity from last year. And then we've seen Sabrina do this sort of thing before, which I guess is more in vein with her character. So I was kind of trying to figure out why now is everyone noticing that these things are happening around her? Why now is it because Father Blackwood is gone?
Well, Hilda's thing was different because that was a specific spell that she has to die in the house. It has to be in...
Isn't it also she has to be
and
buried in the
that
garden?
Yeah. And then that particular mud, like she comes back. So that is a very particular thing just for her that they really just kind of did season 1 kind of as a kitschy thing and then hasn't really been touched on since then. I mean, a little bit when Shirley's trying to use it as bait, but then ends up eating them cyanide cookies.
Tasty.
Stuck on that, Shirley. But yeah, I think that the thing now is that all of these things are breaking their magical rules, like their set of rules. Like Nick even says, this isn't how our magic works.
And
like,
it's funny, Hilda even mentions later on in the episode, something like you're stacking up a huge cosmic debt.
you're racking up a cosmic debt unlike any that's ever been seen.
And it's in the sense that she's just kind of doing things now because as we learn, she doesn't need to do a spell or have any exchange for any of these miracles, so they're called, that she's doing. She's just able to kind of tap into her emotion or like her spiritual side and just do crazy things.
And that power is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You can go either way, good or bad. Or
With great power comes great responsibility.
And now I'm going to cry.
Uncle Ben. Well, I mean, if they make a Dark Phoenix reference, I can make a Spider-Man reference.
They're very into the
Are
comic
you
books.
seriously talking about comic books right now? I'm like, you're in one, Sabrina. How meta is that?
Oh my God.
And I live
oh
for
my
it
God.
all.
Your dark mind. I love this.
But it's interesting
Your
because
fate is fixed. It was written by Roberto.
and it will still be written by Roberto. But this is almost kind of terrifying in the sense because I feel the Academy, or at least all the witches and warlocks who witnessed Sabrina, are now terrified of her, and I feel her human friends are still kind of not sure with her. They're still like kind of blowing her off because they're not okay with the supernatural hexes that have been put on them.
Well, it's like she's saying, like, she's always been these two things. Like, she's been half mortal and half witch, and now she's something else. Like, what is
It's uncharted
she?
territory.
That's got to be terrifying, too. It's like being like, this is how I've identified. I've been traveling these two paths and so worried about these two paths. I didn't even think about, like, out of left field, oh, wait, maybe I was prophesized to be the Antichrist thousands of years ago in my ex-boyfriend's mind at his job with his dad. Like, what?
Well, putting aside the Antichrist bit, or, you know, maybe you're out there watching, who knows. I thought this was a super queer perspective to take in the story because growing up as a gay guy, I didn't think anything was, you know, different about me. And then one day I'm like, oh, I like boys. Oh, this isn't typically accepted. Okay, this is something new. So watching the episode for me, it was sort of a hook that made it relatable for me to connect to. So I was able to follow her side of things a little bit better than I have in previous episodes.
I love that point because that's not something I initially thought about, which is it's a great perspective to bring up as well, and I love that.
And I love.
Continue.
I was gonna say I love that kind of ties in even with the whole X-Men thing and how X-Men was specifically created. Like Chris Claremont even went and Scott Lobdell, like the creators, talked about how it was to mirror different demographics in society and have each kind of character represent something. Even with North Star, the actual first openly gay mutant that they had in X-Men. But to have that kind of X-Men reference in this one, and Jean Grey and her finding her power with the Phoenix Force, like, I love that is kind of an allegory that they keep using in comic books and how it really ties in to society and is something that's super relatable on a really deep level.
And it's something that you don't ever really know how to navigate. Like, I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go every day.
Much like the mine tunnels of Greendale.
I love the fact that you brought up the mines, Elena, because that was actually one of the things I loved most about this episode, which is weird to say because it's like, whoa, we talked about how Harvey has kind of rubbed us the wrong way, or we've not been huge fans of Harvey this season, but I loved the mines because we forget the mines were very important. There was obviously something going on down there. Harvey was seeing things. Everyone who was in the mines were seeing things. And we kind of just forgot about that. And I love the fact that they brought it back.
In other words, it was out of sight, out of mind.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
That's amazing. I can't.
All right,
we seriously need a pun jar up
It
here
took
because
me
it's beautiful.
way too long to get that. Anyway, I'm going to bring up a point. Did any of you guys, have either of you seen My Bloody Valentine?
Yes.
No, I have not.
Did you see they've done this before on the show whenever there's like the mines are prevalent in the story. Have you seen like the similarities, like the possible murder? Some of the shots even mirror shots from that movie.
I didn't even notice that. I caught the Descent reference, which was very
out there.
Like, have you seen the movie The Descent? Because this is like The Descent. Like, I'm like, Theo, pulling no punches. Like, it is creepy in this mine. And 13 on top of that. I'm like, oh, just stay away from it.
And personally, that witch in that cave,
creepy.
She just needs some moisturizer. Like, Queen, get you a hair tie.
And
I'm sorry,
she's been trapped in a mine for centuries. She ain't getting nothing.
It's no excuse. Your skincare and hair care and body care, it all is meaningful.
I think she went in looking like that already. I think it was just like, that's her thing. Like the fish that live in caves.
I love
that are just like albino fish. Like, that's just her thing. She's like,
this is gay brain right here. I was like, fish like the drag queen reference. Like, she's serving mine fish. I'm
like, how sad is this? And I'm like, no, like spelunking. I'm gonna die alone.
I love the fact that we're bringing up. I just kind of want to jump to that because I feel like that we've mentioned it already. I think we should just get straight into it because it was the biggest reveal and turning point for this entire season. We find the prophecy basically at the end of this episode in the mine, and I have a lot of questions, but obviously Sabrina is a little edgy. It's a little bit darker, but this episode I was kind of scared. Like, the way the editing was flawless and how it really played with my emotions. The jump scare with the weird witch thing that was trapped down there. Like, it was beautifully done because I really was feeling very eerie the whole time I was watching this.
This is the only thing for me. I'm like, Harvey, I don't want anything to do with the supernatural. The supernatural is too much for me. I heard a weird noise in the mines where a bunch of demons I already know have been locked up, and I already was warned by somebody with tarot cards to stay away from all this creepy stuff. You want to go bust it open and see what's in it? Get out of here, Harvey.
He's becoming more of a bro. This is good for him.
It's a
question mark.
It's definitely a pride thing for him. This whole thing, and even he's mentioned it to Sabrina this season. I told you last time I'm not going to be a coward. It's complete pride that he went down there and wanted to figure out what it was.
Well, it was good timing, because imagine if it had happened like when she was dealing with Batty Bat or something, and she's like, now I got this freaking albino witch to deal with. Like,
yeah.
Too much. Too much, guys. Stop messing with other things while you're already dealing with the devil. Like, don't go...
Yeah, you don't want to mess with him anymore. How did you guys feel about the prophecy? / what do you guys... How would your reaction be if you stumbled upon a cave that had your picture and a prophecy about you bringing about the end of days?
I would be very impressed that they got all of that from that picture. But no, it's creepy.
But it's like an Instagram selfie. You're just like,
guess what, guys?
Flashback Friday.
I would at first, but then when they're like, it means the end of the world, I'd be like, that doesn't look like me at all. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like a Renaissance painting where the babies are just like.
It was crazy, and like I did not see this coming. Because even last episode when Sabrina had this kind of awakening, I was just like, she just tapped into some new powers because she is very powerful because she is both half witch and half mortal. Cool, great. I did not think she would basically be like this Herald of Hell, for which she says in this episode that she thinks she is. Which is
Herald of Hell. I mean, I feel like the kind of Jesus thorn crown was, like last episode was kind of an allusion to it, was that it was going to be something a little bit
Maybe
more,
gave it away.
Yeah, a little bit more severe, especially because they keep saying, like, this isn't our magic. Like, this is clearly something else entirely, which seems to be some sort of deity, which would be the only thing that is able to not have the price. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, just in case, maybe you should stop making it rain rose petals and weird stuff. Because if you are racking up a debt, you don't want to have to pay back like your fingers because you thought it'd be cool for like rose petals to fall from the sky in your school.
It's a very old-fashioned wager or debt.
Well, Faustus
I
is
like
old-fashioned. What if he wins?
God damn it, Faustus.
I know we were just talking about how we kind of don't want it to rain any rose petals or anything around here anymore, but here at AfterBuzz, we are raining after shows here, and I believe Elena could give you guys a little bit more on that.
Shows. Yes, AfterBuzz TV has so many shows. We have something for everybody. Obviously, we love that you guys are tuning in to our show.
Thanks, guys.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina After Show. But we do want your help. We want you guys to rate, subscribe, give us those 5 stars, those thumbs up, comment in the chat too. We love hearing from you guys and hearing all of your thoughts on the episode, especially in iTunes too, because that bumps us up in the search. And then people can find us, and the more people who find us, the more people who get to see our wonderful show.
The good word of our wonderful show.
Yeah.
And Elena and everyone it's heard.
And I just like when everybody gets to talk with each other in the chat, too. It's awesome to just have this whole society, this whole group of people who all love the show and love all of the shows here. That's why AfterBuzz TV is the ESPN of TV talk.
Awesome. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Miss Pretty Spellman, who is listening to us on iTunes, who says, love the show, love this show, love all AfterBuzz panels, love the peeps on this panel, love, love, love.
So much love.
I love
so much
you.
love. We love you. We love the fact that you are tuning in. We love the fact that you're listening to us on iTunes, and anyone who is watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. So,
Hail Satan.
I say it in my head a lot, but I'm still like,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Hail AfterBuzz.
Hail AfterBuzz.
Yeah!
We're not even like on hour 3 yet.
We're not over
we are
the
just
gates of hell. We're
perpetual
opening the gates
loopy.
of applause, baby.
We're just excited because we are excited to talk about Auntie Z and what the heck is up with her when she gets back from this honeymoon.
Oh, man.
Stepford
Poor
Wives.
thing.
That's
100%
what.
I literally thought the
Stepford
same thing.
Wives.
I was like, she is like Nicole Kidman in Stepford Wives, the robotic, quintessential perfect idea of a wife.
I love that they mentioned the Caligari spell because now I'm like, oh, now I have a name for people who are like that. Like, I'm like, oh, they're under a Caligari spell right now.
I'm thinking of like
but-
Bounders from Disneyland that just like go in vintage attire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I'm thinking just people like first year marriage, and I'm like, that's gonna change. The spell's gonna run on.
Oh, no. I just thought it again, kind of going back to Harvey and that it's a pride thing for him to go down in the mines. I think it's, again, the idea of toxic masculinity and a pride thing in Father Blackwood that he did this to Zelda, because it's like, how can he not think that when they return, the Spellmans are gonna think something's up because there is no way Aunt Zelda would ever act like that.
I disagree.
Really?
I don't think that it is pride. I think it's arrogance more than anything. I think he genuinely doesn't think the Spellmans are going to figure it out. I think
Either that or he's
plan.
like so powerful or so delusional in his own power that he's like, maybe even if they do know what's up, they can't do anything.
They're the inferior Spellmans.
Yeah.
I am the anti-pope now. Like, I mean, he's so drunk with power, like being the anti-pope now and having everybody address him as
Interman,
that.
anti-pope.
Oh, very, very white Methuselah. But yeah, I think it's mostly just that he really does underestimate the Spellmans. He hates them so much, and he genuinely thinks that he is so far superior to them.
Even though he's really just jealous of them.
He's just an entitled
Because they kick his booty
D-bag.
every single episode.
I can see what you're saying, Elena, that he's just probably very entitled. I can see it in the sense also that even if they were to figure it out, because let's be real, it's very obvious that she has to be under some kind of compulsion or spell or something because it's completely out of character for her. But it's arrogance in the sense that, like, he can think I am the high priest and their power can't match my magic and they would not be able to reverse it, even if they did find out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. I think it's
I could
also
think
too
that.
because like she's been acting differently in front of him than behind his back. Like to him, she's basically been that Stepford wife. So the spell is basically for him just reiterating and making sure and controlling her. And I was getting Jessica Jones vibes too, talking about comics. Like I was like,
I see
oh
that.
dude, this is 100% Jessica Jones. Like, just the mind manipulation and like just the also other creepy implications when she's talking about like dancing and like what else did he make her do that she was trapped in her own body conscious
Exactly.
of.
Since she's also aware of
Yeah.
every single second and brings it up, that is the most terrifying part of the episode.
They have so many allusions to like sexual assault in here
Yeah.
and then ultimately like overpowering that,
Yeah.
but without actually making it so overt that it kind of puts you off from the show. They do a really good job
Yeah.
of walking that line.
They do a really good job of that, and you still kind of walk away with the same idea, because when I heard that, I was like, that's very disturbing, because yes, it's like you don't know anything in terms of that could have happened, but we get the obvious in that she clearly knows now what Father Blackwood is up to, that they give us this, what she fully remembers, right?
I wonder if it's the Caligari spell, because it kind of sounds like Kilgore from Jessica Jones.
Really?
Maybe not. Maybe that's just in my head, but like
But it works.
it would make sense,
would
right?
make a lot of
I
The
don't know.
new segment, Elena's Theories.
And then people are just like, you're wrong. Segment over.
But luckily, Hilda and Sabrina, they figure it out. We get Auntie Z back, and she's doing her best to kind of go undercover and see what else she can get from Father Blackwood, which is amazing. Love her so much. Let's quickly touch on Ambrose and how, while Sabrina and Nick kind of got rewarded and reinstated for saving everyone, Ambrose is still to be executed, and that poor boy can just never catch a break.
He has 24 hours to produce
His
his
familiar.
familiar that's
Yeah.
dead, find a way to bring it back to life. I mean, this sounds like an impossible task, unless you've got an Antichrist for a cousin.
Unless you're Sabrina Spellman.
Coincidentally, have
Yeah.
an Antichrist for a
Unless
cousin.
your aunt is I mean, poor Leviathan, like...
That was not a
being
pleasant way to go.
brainwashed, manipulating your familiar that you love to do something horrible, feeling like you've damned him, coming back to life, finally feeling like you get to redeem yourself, and then watching yourself go into a meat grinder.
That was disgusting, and I really felt for poor Leviathan. But the thing that also kind of got me was, one of the things I love, and maybe they just don't have the budget for this because we haven't seen it, was back in season 1 where we saw Salem's kind of true familiar form, not as the cat, and take on that weird...
Oh, the Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow
Yeah.
thing. I loved that, and I was like, doesn't Leviathan get to like have some kind of shape-shifting ability into like an actual familiar form and like not be a rat in a meat grinder?
Guess not.
I mean,
He got
obviously
ground
not,
and
but
put
I was...
in the bag. That's the end
Yeah.
of Leviathan.
I guess not, but I was hoping
And also,
for that.
don't use that meat grinder again.
Oh, God.
Again,
No.
oh God, no.
Gross.
No. That was disgusting.
Poor Ambrose.
But he is able to make it out because of Sabrina and Hilda's wit of working together, which was awesome. Did any of you think that it was Sabrina doing it and not Hilda? Kind of with the head thing?
I wasn't sure. It was just, I thought, like, when Prudence was like, I was watching her, she didn't even blink. I was like, how did they do this? So I love that quick shot of Hilda just, like, with the shears.
So, like, what about the people standing next to her in the pews that are just like,
How are they not aware?
Madam?
Well,
what
I
is
think
that?
they're all looking up. Like, nobody's looking at anybody else because they're going, what the hell just happened? The executioner's head fell off. You know? Like, everybody's our eyes up there. It's genius plan.
Yeah, but we also got Sabrina conjuring the Dark Lord.
And that was my next question was like, it's very, very smart because at first I was like, oh, did he actually come because he's like crazy or is Sabrina conjuring him? And it's clear she's
about Ambrose.
No, he doesn't care about anything other than his agenda. And so obviously she is, it's very smart because the Dark Lord is the only one that has any power over Father Blackwood. So it's very smart to summon him and to like make it seem that Father Blackwood has disappointed him in a way to kind of bump him down a few notches from that power, which was amazing. Loved it. Thought it was fantastic.
He needed it. He
He
needed
did
to
need
be,
it.
he needed to be served.
He did. And then obviously our Ambrose is alive and hopefully gets to return to as normal as a witchy life as can
And gets
possibly
to
be.
celebrate a party
Yeah.
with Sabrina making mistakes.
A lot of mistakes.
But the one thing about that scene that I really liked was the practical magic reference when she's on the roof and gonna jump, which is the ending of that movie. I love that
loved
movie
it.
so much.
And I love that it was like Girls Just Want to Have Fun was playing.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, feminist anthem, Cyndi Lauper, get it.
Real quick, I want to get your opinion on this kind of fight because we were obviously talking about this like fun party / mixer between witches and humans. What was your opinion on kind of the two sides where Sabrina and Hilda were coming from? Sabrina is basically like, let's just, you know, make ourselves known to the humans, kind of like a rip the Band-Aid off kind of thing as she was going to jump from the roof and fly, basically. But Hilda is saying, no, you know, I open up to someone slowly, one person who I love and who I trust. What kind of, on what side do you kind of find yourself more drawn to?
I kind of thought that Sabrina, I understood both sides of the argument, and I think they both are very valid for different reasons, but I did think Sabrina was acting a little bit high and mighty, a little entitled, just being like,
Literally.
she has all this power, and that any hesitation is gone, so she's sort of like, what else am I gonna do? We should just do this, reform everything, change stuff up. And Hilda is being more adult and more professional and being like, you can't do that, you might get killed.
Yeah, it's like what Ambrose says. It's like, this is going to change everything and not for the better. It's like, again, going back to the X-Men, when the X-Men finally revealed themselves, did not end well. So
Look at Salem.
Yeah, it's like, dude, not a good idea. Don't do it. Don't do it. Especially, like, I mean, at that point, she didn't know that she was going to be the Herald of Hell.
Yeah.
And Harvey heralding some other news, like, geez, man, what are you thinking? With her girlfriend right there.
Which we will get into next episode. But
Well, he says it this episode.
He says it this episode, but obviously it kind of leads to something more.
Yeah.
Next episode, and we can dive into it a little
an
bit
idiot.
more. There, it's really dumb. He's not so smart this episode. But no, I completely agree with you, Brendan, in that I do see both sides, but I think Hilda was being more smart about it because we see how people, her human friends, the friends who have known her and loved her for so long, reacted. Harvey and Roz are pulling away. Granted, they have a little bit more reason to pull away, but you can't just expect like, oh, I'm going to reveal myself to humans and they're going to like me. I feel like because Sabrina knows in herself that she is a light, that even though her path might be down a dark road, she herself thinks she's more positive. So she's like, I'm a good witch, so therefore people can trust witches.
Are you a good witch or bad witch?
It's like we get that she's a good witch, but not
Or a
everyone's
medium
a
witch.
good witch or a warlock. So it's definitely a slower process trying to integrate witches into the human world and vice versa.
Well, it's like, it's not just her secret to tell.
Exactly, that too.
Stay in your lane, Spellman.
Don't ruin it. Don't make it more difficult for other people who are not ready to have that out there.
Yeah.
Basically. Any final thoughts, Elena and Brendan, on this episode?
I mean, there's so much to talk about, but it sort of just blends into these last 3 episodes in particular. I feel sort of blend into one another after some time because they just build on everything that they introduce.
I love that this is set up with 9 episodes because it's a perfect 3-act structure where episodes 1 through 3 gave us the setup, episodes 4 through 6 gave us like this good middle chunk, and now the last 3, like this is the big climax of the story. This is what's going to happen, and I just hope it's something good.
I completely agree. This episode had me hooked, and I loved going back and kind of being able to watch it in the block of 3, like you were saying, Elena, because it just fits so well together, and being to watch it in that way felt like I was really watching a complete story, and I loved it. Let's now move on to our special segment, The Dark Design, where Elena gets to tell us a little bit about how everyone on the show is a genius in their production design.
Man, this show. I like that sound effect. Boom.
What you got for us?
Yeah, so this one was pretty fun. It wasn't as deep as production design as we've seen in some episodes in the past. I mean, they had a lot of kind of verbal references, as we talked about, to the different comic books and things that in the past we've seen more visually. But I did like that the breakfast cereal she was eating was called Graveyard Pops, which needs to be something that exists. I would eat that every single morning. But I feel like that was kind of a little allusion to like, oh, I have this bright sunny day. And then later Leviathan is actually killed. That was his graveyard pop and crunch.
Oh.
Too far. One thing that was kind of cool when Roz was getting her eyesight back in the bathroom when she has this miraculous vision that Sabrina brings back. In the background, there is a poster that says weekly episodes of Gal Talk with Stevie, tune into radio, which kind of is an allusion to maybe some girl talk that might happen a little later on in other episodes, especially since Harvey's saying some dumb things. Also, as a little allusion to next week's episode, potentially, there's a framed poster in the background with 3 different plants that says field trip. So,
Interesting.
since next week's episode is called Mandrakes, that might be a little allusion as to what
They might
is
be
to
planting
come.
a seed.
Planting a seed.
I can do it too.
You did it!
I can do puns too.
I'm so proud of you.
And this isn't really for anything. I just thought that it was kind of cool that somebody wrote on the bathroom stall, since writing on bathroom stalls is done neither for wealth or for acclaim, it is the purest form of art.
Yeah, I
So
only got
get it, production designer.
I got phallic imagery at my school. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all we
purest
got.
form of art is the wiener that Stevie in second period drew on the back of the third stall.
Yeah.
Art. The purest form of art. Brendan, was there anything Wiccan that really stood out this episode?
Well, it's interesting because they're taking a very apocalyptic turn. Things are going a lot more toward the Catholic Church and more of these mainstream beliefs. But I was going to talk a little bit quickly about some deities in Wicca and witchcraft, specifically Hecate and the Horned God, which both represent the male and the female. There is no specific deity in witchcraft, and I talked about this a little bit last week. But with Hecate, she's a particular goddess that I have praised, preached to, whatever word you want to use there. And she comes up a lot in Greek mythology. We see her actually go to hell to help rescue Persephone in one iteration. And in some translations, she even stays there and becomes the queen of hell. That, it depends on which version you're reading, like her mythology. And the Horned God is actually represented on the show as our man of darkness, Lord Satan. He actually serves the goddess and serves these female deities and their children, protecting them, protecting the forest, and striving for all things good and earthly based.
Awesome. I always love getting the steeper's perspective. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Elena and Brendan, for bringing those amazing tidbits and insight to this after show. It's what really makes this better than any after show out there. Just saying.
Hey. We totally didn't use a spell to make that happen.
We didn't. And we didn't. We definitely did not. But we do want to thank you again, everyone, for tuning into the Chilling Adventures. Guys, I keep doing it. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina After Show. Hopefully next episode I'll be able to say the name of this show without stumbling. Until then, Elena, where can the fans find you on social media?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Elena Jordan, ALANAJORDAN, and on Instagram at Elena J. Jordan.
And you can find me, Brendan Haley, at Brendo Hales on Twitter, Brendan Haley on Instagram. I'm also here doing Supernatural tonight and Queer Eye on Tuesdays, so stick around for that, guys.
I'm Veronica Blansing. You find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Veronica_V. Again, thank you so much for tuning into the after show. Be sure to tune into episode 8 coming up next. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.